You are listening to First Gen Healing, a podcast on Latinx healing and awakening journeys. My name is Priscila Luna, and I am not your host today. What? Today is the celebration of the podcast's anniversary, and I thought that it could be fun to bring on a guest host, someone near and dear to mi corazón, all the way from Medellin, Colombia, Yasmeen.
Hey, First and Healing family. I'm honored to be the host today. We're going to be interviewing our amazing Priscilla because it's been a year since she's been doing First and Healing, the podcast. So today we're going to get into the behind the scenes of the podcast, how this journey has been for her so far. And I'm excited to take you on this journey with us.
Let's do it. Estoy ready para tus preguntas.
So, we're going to start off with what inspired you to start the First and Healing podcast?
When I was going through my own healing and awakening journey, I used to listen to the whites. Middle-aged, like white women, guru type people that I would find online. And some of their stories would resonate, but of course, in the back of my mind, it was always like, yeah, but they're not first gen. Like, they don't share my experience. It comes from like whatever they said sometimes felt like it came from a privileged place, you know? So although there was need for connection or there was need for me resonating with people, there was always kind of that barrier of like, okay, yeah, but it's not exactly similar. So then I thought, how cool would it be to have a podcast where literally every single episode has someone that does share the first gen experience? And yes, the story is going to be different, but at least like that's the underlying
Qué pena.
Mi primera chamba.
No.
Ay. That at the baseline, everyone shares a first gen experience. And that is what I think is about this podcast. Next question, please.
Let's bring it back to the first episode that you did of First Gen Healing. Since we're making jokes about mi primera chamba, my first podcast, let's take it to that because this is the year episode, right? The mini interview that we're doing so you can share with people more of that behind the scenes. So what was it like when you did that first podcast? How did you feel? You know, how was it to interact with your first guest? Like, what was that experience like?
Ooh, okay. So the first episode I recorded was with a Latina therapist, Georgina. And first of all, I was late. Like, I was running late for the most annoying reason. And I was nervous. I had put together a couple of questions and I had shared them with her. But of course, I had never done anything like this, you know? So I didn't know if it was going to flow. But it was super cool because I remember that it really did. It flowed so well. Like, we were on the same page on what we were talking about. Some behind the scenes info. The lighting and my camera was super blurry, like the way post, I was like, dang, our lighting is so different. I hadn't like thought about centering and, a lot of things that you learn along the way. There's some mess ups, but overall it went better than I thought that it would. And that first one made me feel like, yeah, I want to do this like more, Yeah.
You got the podcast bug.
Yeah, it's just like the conversation, in my opinion, was really good. It was like, yes, this is the type of stuff I want to talk about,
Yeah. And what has the podcast played a role in when it comes to your personal healing journey?
That's such a good question. It has validated that there's a lot of us out there that are going on our healing and awakening journeys, and that although a lot of our experiences may feel isolated, it's been so nice to validate for others and for myself that a lot of us struggle with similar things, and that a lot of us, like, that are online too, because it's been a lot of creators, have, this light because of the things that they've gone through. It's not because they've had an amazing, easy life, But through their journeys, I feel like they've transformed into who they are and who they show up as online. And that's beautiful. Part of how we show up online is really due to our journey. So it's cool to see that reflected with other people.
Yeah, and just personally, even then as well, like podcasting gave me my voice back, and to be able to share it with you, it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been so eye-opening, and I'm so freaking happy every time I see your podcast. New episode every week, amazing guests, amazing conversations. And so how many podcast episodes did you do this past year?
I think we're over 40.
Woo! 40.
Yeah.
40 plus
Yeah.
hours of conversations about healing, awakening, the first gen experience. So if you're not there listening,
¿Qué estás haciendo?
what's the biggest unexpected gift that has come out of this podcast? One of the benefits or one of the blessings that came from it?
It was an anchor during really difficult times of my life. It was the most effortless thing that I think has come of like this whole change. I would say 99% of the people that I've asked to be on the podcast has said yes. Everyone has brought a different subject to the table that literally like layers on top of each other. I set out for this podcast to help people resonate with others and understand that they're not alone, and then getting those messages that are like, hey, this episode really helped, or like, I didn't realize this was happening but now I get it. That has been so beautiful, and it's like the fuel to why I keep going.
Mm. I love that. And it's just this journey is one that's wild, and having a constant like this where you get to talk to other people and also help other people as well.
Yeah.
What let's talk about those, what is it? The 51 that are number one listeners of the First Gen Healing podcast.
Spotify did like this it does this annual wrapped thing, and it said that 51 of you have this podcast as your number one, and I think 100 and something as your top 5, and 250 as your top 10.
Let's hear a little message for those 51 people, because those 51 people are going to be listening to this.
Thank you all so, so much for listening to the podcast. I hope that it has helped you in some way along your journey. I hope that it has validated you and encouraged you to keep searching for a life that is fulfilling to you, that feels good to you, and that at least if you don't have that yet, that it gives you hope that it's out there and that you can do it and you can go after it. And if you ever want to talk, hit me up on socials. I love meeting you guys. Really, it's so fulfilling. I've heard a lot of creators say that, but it truly, truly is, especially in the beginning. You know, I've made $0.00 from doing this podcast for a year. And so that's just to
Coming
say
with
the
love.
fuel. Yeah, it's literally
Yes,
from
with
my heart, you know?
love.
And I'm doing I mean, maybe we'll get into that later, but like I'm doing all kinds of things to like be able to continue this, you know, to be able to still hold on to this stream and put out content for you guys, because I think of y'all. Y'all are that.
The real ones, the real
The real
ones.
MVPs. Yeah.
And now that you brought that up, how you were like, I made 0.0 is, I know it's not about the money, that's not it, but it reminded me of one of my next questions, which is, so it's been a year of the podcast. What do you
Mhm.
see coming for First Gen Healing in 2024?
For the podcast, I foresee in-person episodes. So now that I'm here in LA, or back in LA, I definitely want to meet up with some of the previous guests that I only know virtually. So that's exciting.
True.
Um, I want to bring you guys along to healing experiences. And then for first gen healing as a whole, right? I have a lot planned, honestly. I want to create like a hub for resources. Every guest on here has mentioned a book, has mentioned music and different like modalities that they've tried. So I definitely am working on like kind of a hub where you guys can access that. I am also working on group coaching programs, on workbooks. I've learned a lot in this year. I've seen a lot of patterns in our stories and the things that we need to maybe work on, or what is helpful to us in our journeys. And so that's definitely what I want to help people with. So, yeah, there's a lot coming for 2024.
Oh, all right. And so it is.
So it
2024,
is.
the year of big things for everyone. First Gen Healing, number one. All right, next question. If you were to describe the First Gen Healing podcast in 3 words, what would the 3 words be?
This is hard. A hard question. Dang.
How about from a listener and a close friend?
I'm like, what do you think?
One, safe space. I know that's 2 words, but it's the idea, a safe space. 2 is diverse, and 3 would be insightful.
I love
That's how I
that.
would describe it. So you have a lot of
Yeah.
insight and then a lot of diversity. Although all are connected under like the first gen experience, it's a lot of diverse experiences, diverse people, diverse energy, all of that. So diverseness is definitely one of my top 3. And then the other one being the safe space is just because anyone and everyone has something that they can hear and that they can listen to and that brings them to it. And it's just a safe space. Everyone loves you, feels warm and embraced by you, and you're a safe space for people. And when people listen, they're seeking that safe space, you know? So I would say those are my top 3 and why. Yeah, to describe your podcast.
I love it. I agree. I think I transmit, right, that we're not judging anyone here, that it's about like understanding, it's about opening your mind. So, yeah, I love that you said that. But yeah, I think for me, like I was thinking community, storytelling. I don't know what the third one would be. I think like when I think of the podcast, I obviously think of 2 sides, right? I think of like the back end, like me meeting the guests and like talking to them and having that experience, and then like the result of it, right? So post editing. I mean, if you guys don't know, I
Yeah.
record, edit, contact, network, you know, all the things. A lot of work, hard work,
Yeah.
dedication,
No, it
love.
is. You are the
Yeah.
producer, the editor, the host, the one that reaches out to people, the organizer, everything. So
Yeah.
you got to wear all the hats in this. And that brings me
Mhm.
to my next question. What advice do you have for someone that's listening that has been inspired to start their own podcast, is thinking about it? What advice would you give to them?
I would say do it. Start. It's annoying because you hear the same advice from a lot of people. I used to watch people and they would just be like, just start, even if you're not ready. And I was just like, oh, like I don't know. It was just never enough to hear that. But what
Mm-hmm.
I will say is that every episode, guys, I notice something that I want to improve. Every single one, you know? I didn't start off with this camera. I didn't start off with this mic. I didn't start off with this vision for first gen healing. I didn't start off with contacts, you know. I made them
Mm-hmm.
along the way. I would have never been able to hop from nothing to now if I hadn't started. So like every level, yes, you maybe find ways that you want to improve or that the things that you can modify, but that doesn't happen until you start. Stick with your vision, your mission, and hold it for as long as you can so that you can give it time to grow
Nurture
and
it.
bloom.
Yes.
Nurture it, love it. Yes.
I want to hear what was one of your highest moments and one of your lowest moments when it comes to the podcast. If you were to single out one being like, oh, like my ultimate favorite, I loved this moment, this was the best moment, and then one being like, oh, I almost like stopped or something like that, as an example.
Ooh, okay. I would say highest moment is when I got into a groove. I know it's maybe not like what, but it's just like when I got into a groove, when I saw that it was working, I was like, okay, these are the types of people that I like having on. Understanding that I can be a host because every person like it flowed decently enough to feel good. And then I started to see like an upward movement in the listener. So I was like, ooh, okay, we're getting in a groove. That was a highlight for me because I think
Mm-hmm.
it took at least like maybe 6 months to feel like we were in that upward motion. And closely following that is my low, where about 6 months, a little bit over I moved from Tennessee to California.
Mm-hmm.
And that took a lot of my time, a lot of my energy. And it meant that I had to take a break from recording, from posting. And I started to see everything kind of die down, you know, like the listens and all of that. And I had to really trust that I was going to be able to gain them back. You know, I had to trust that it was temporary. And honestly, like when, as a content creator, when you stop posting and you stop kind of getting feedback and stuff, you start to feel disconnected from the thing, you know, whether it's your content or the podcast.
So true.
And that can feel hard to reconnect with that, you know, because I had a groove, I had the thing. And so then to like let it die down and then try to reconnect. But so it felt like a low, although I knew like it was temporary and that we'd be back on track.
Oh yeah, getting yourself out of that break, that after break section of life when it comes to being a creator and a podcaster. Yeah, it's not easy. Be like, our microphones are rusty right now. Neither you or I have recorded in a while.
Yeah. So I stopped re-recording in September. So this is the first time back, and then Yasmeen too. She's taken a little bit of a break, so we were rusty. But I really appreciate you dusting that dust off your mic to be here with us today.
Of course.
So I wanted to mention that Yasmeen was the first one to give me an opportunity to be on a podcast. She had posted that she needed guests for her podcast. And to be honest, around that time, I was like, I had first gotten the name First Gen Healing. I didn't even have an idea that I would do a podcast. And so I'm super, super thankful because once we did our episode together, we became really close friends.
Where did I invite?
I know. It's just like one of the unexpected things of this path for sure. And I'm so thankful for you, Yasmeen. Porque when I got my vision for the podcast, you were like, yes, girl, let's do it. When do you want me to teach you how to do it? And you taught me everything that I needed to get started. And I'm so, so thankful for that. So, gracias, mujer, because I am here thanks to you in a way.
So freaking sweet. I was not expecting that. But yes, I am also very grateful for our friendship, for our podcasting, for our everything, right? But it's just so wild because when you told me, after that recording, you're like, I want to do it. I was like, hell yeah, let's do this. And I saw this. Like I saw us with our podcast, with our communities, us supporting each other. And it's just so freaking awesome because I think that also is like one of the biggest wins, one of the biggest things is yes, our friendship, but also like the way that we support each other as creators. It's just so amazing to really see how beautiful to the social media can be and platforms like this and how the podcast literally brought us together also. And I was just ready to teach it because I knew you had so much to freaking share and give to so many people. And maybe I was maybe a few months ahead of you, and I was like, I'm just gonna tell you everything I know because I want you to have your platform and freaking grow it. And so I'm so freaking happy to see that it's been a year. You've had 40 plus episodes, amazing guests, such insightful, deep, inspiring, healing, and just so much. Like I'm just so I'm even blown away by every time I see it, or when I get a notification on my phone, new First Gen Healing podcast. I'm just always so proud of you and everyone that you help, everyone that with your voice and your insight feels less alone. Like I'm just so freaking proud of you too, because I remember that first call where you were like, I think I want to do it, and I was like, hell yeah, let's freaking do it. So we push each other also in this whole year. We push each other. We literally keep ourselves going as well when the other one feels like they're struggling too. So I'm so freaking proud of you.
I think I just want to note like how important it is to have people in your circle, even if it's virtually, like if it's us, that you feel you resonate with. Because in addition to like content creation, I've been evolving over this year in the last few years, and I've been leaning into who I really am, like my authentic self. And something that has helped me tremendously is feeling validated in being a highly sensitive person, in being an empath, in having this huge goal to help people, and that has been so special to like share that with you, and I want to encourage those of you listening to lean into that person that feels safe because it's going to be instrumental in this journey. We usually share our light online, we usually share the good moments or we post when we're feeling good, but Yasmeen and I share the lows too. We share low energy days, we share high anxiety days, we share depression weeks. Like there is, the other side to being this. No one is perfect. No one's always high vibe, happy. There are those stewing days, those like potato days, where you're going through it. I talk about this journey not because I'm like, oh, it's perfect. You're going to find like, it's going to be great at the end of the tunnel, but more so because you're probably already on it. Like, it's not a choice. When we awaken, when we start to heal, this journey, it's a roller coaster. And so I hope like you lean into safe spaces, places that make you feel at ease, people that make you feel comfortable, that don't make you feel crazy. My intuitive gifts have been developing over the last couple of years too. And I definitely felt crazy in the beginning. And what I love about Yasmeen is just like we can talk it out. Like, it's such an open-minded space that you create. If you don't already follow Yasmeen, you should. But she also creates a really cool safe space for growth, for healing, for the downs and the ups.
See, amiga, thank you for plugging me in there. But this
For
is
sure.
your special episode. I wanted to say too, for people that are listening, really take Priscilla's offer seriously. Like, reach out to her. She has so many different coaching opportunities. Like Priscilla said, whether it's her or this space or not, like, she wants you to find your path, find your space. But if you feel called and resonated to Priscilla's message, to her energy, to her light, look into the offerings that she's gonna have. Don't be shy, and it's okay to feel a little shy, right? Like, there's something wrong with that. But genuinely, as you see us here, as you see Priscilla on her podcast, on her content, that's her, the bubbly, open person that wants to be there for you and share with you. So when she says like, oh, like, message me or look into what I'm offering, like, I personally just want to remind people that are listening that she's here and just go for it. You never know how much her connection, her expertise, or her insight can help you on your journey. She don't bite. She don't bite.
No, I don't bite. And I know, coming from like being a first gen, being independent, being the like I got this on my own, I know how long it took me to lean into coaching or getting help,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like that you mentioned that. Like, it maybe does feel intimidating on the other end, but I really do try to transmit like who I really am, like you said, Yasmeen. So yeah, if you guys are tuning in, like, this is what you're gonna get on a one-on-one. I care about your well-being and also for you to see results and like get something out of us working together. I have been working with people, and one of my kind of insecurities was like, oh, if people have taken therapy, what do I have to add to their journey? And it's been really cool because a lot of the people have told me it's different. Like, what you provide, what you help me with, the changes that I've seen in me or through my journey is different than the benefits that I got from therapy. And that has been so beautiful to see and witness.
If you feel like you're resonating with Priscilla's message, with everything that she shares, her services, her podcasts, her content, reach out to her, DM her. I guess I'm just trying to like nudge you to be like, if this is calling you, look into the services that Priscilla has, because it could be the difference that you need on your healing journey. No pressure, just a loving nudge. That's it.
Well, Yasmeen, thank you so much for being the host of today's episode. I thought it would be super cool too, because you tend to bring out obviously my personality a little bit more. When I'm the host, I'm a little bit more like professional, or, I got to be in charge. So I was like, let me let Yasmeen do it. And I really appreciate that. For those of you listening, celebrate with me. We did it. It's a little over a year actually, but tarde pero seguro, over 40 episodes. Let me know in the comments which has been your favorite episode. I would love to know that. If you're listening on Spotify, you can comment. On YouTube también. I would love to know. And guys, if you're not subscribed to the podcast, ¿qué estás haciendo? Say it en colombiano, por favor.
¿Qué estás haciendo? I can't. Say it in Colombian. I can't. I'll remind people, go ahead and put the 5 stars on the podcast right now. It's right there, that little button with the stars. Just 5 stars.
Por favor.
No te duele, es gratis.
No te duele. Yeah, por favor. If you enjoy the podcast, this episode or any other, please share the podcast with your amigas, amigos, amigues. And remember, First Gen, that I love you, I love me, and we can't wait for you to love yourself. Bye.
Bye. Yay! I'm waiting to turn it off at 4:44:44.